Donald Trump dismisses as nonsense links between his presidential team and Russia. A day after his national security advisor resigned for lying about secret talks with the Russians, the president hit back.
I think it's very, very unfair what's happened to General Flynn, the way he was treated, and the documents and papers that were illegally, I stress that, illegally leaked.
And in a meeting with the Israeli Prime Minister, Trump signalled a change in policy over a peace deal with the Palestinians. Also on the programme, getting away with the illegal dumping of rubbish. We reveal less than 1% of fly tippers are prosecuted. The woman suspected of killing the half-brother of North Korea's secretive dictator. And how's that? The New England cricket captain on nappies and taking that job.
When I got the call, I was actually changing Alfie, so I really did have my hands full by the end of that conversation, yes.
This is the ITV Evening News with Mary Nightingale.
Good evening. President Trump has defiantly hit back at the controversy surrounding the resignation of his national security advisor. He said Michael Flynn had been treated very, very unfairly by the media, and he condemned what he said were criminal and illegal leaks. And in a joint press conference with Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu, he watered down America's commitment to a two-state solution to the Palestinian conflict. Our Washington correspondent Robert Moore has more.
The president welcomed the Israeli Prime Minister with a warm exchange. But Donald Trump is facing multiple and mounting questions about his ties to Russia in the months before he took office.
The President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Israel.
And while the Middle East agenda could not be more urgent, Trump took the opportunity to blame the media for the resignation of his national security advisor, Mike Flynn, saying the problem lies with those leaking information.
General Flynn is a wonderful man. I think he's been treated very, very unfairly by the media, as I call it, the fake media in many cases. And I think it's really a sad thing that he was treated so badly. I think in addition to that, from intelligence, papers are being leaked, things are being leaked. It's criminal action, criminal act. And it's been going on for a long time, before me, but now it's really going on. And people are trying to cover up for a terrible loss that the Democrats had under Hillary Clinton.
More startling still was Donald Trump adopting what appears to be a policy tilted towards Jewish settlers and against the Palestinians, ripping up established US foreign policy by suggesting there may be no need for a two-state solution in Israel and on the West Bank.
So I'm looking at two-state and one-state, and I like the one that both parties like. I'm very happy with the one that both parties like. I can live with either one.
No wonder Netanyahu was laughing. No American president has said that in decades, and they joked about their respective negotiating prowess.
Let's try it.
Doesn't sound too optimistic, but that's he's a good negotiator.
That's the art of the deal.
But over in Congress, questions about Russia are not going away.
And wherever the facts take us, that's where we're going to go. And I'm anxious to get going on it. I know we've already started it.
With now no national security advisor, and the turmoil within the administration makes it very difficult for us to exercise responsibilities as to defend the nation.
There were shouted questions as Trump left.
Mr. President, are you going to answer any questions about your associated contacts with the Russians during your campaign?
The president didn't respond, but he cannot ignore them forever. Well, that was a remarkable press conference by any standards. Remarkable because of the extent of the evasion. Donald Trump didn't even begin to address the absolutely key question of whether he had authorized his national security advisor to speak to the Russians back in December. And remarkable, too, because of its kind of making it up on the hoof in terms of the Israeli-Palestinian peace process, no sense of strategy or of deliberations. This was really just improvisational on one of the most enduring and fraught conflicts anywhere in the world.
Robert Moore in Washington, thank you. Here, an ITV News investigation has discovered that only a tiny proportion of fly tippers are ever prosecuted, even though some are caught on CCTV or indeed spotted by eyewitnesses. Right across the UK, there were nearly 750,000 incidents of illegal dumping reported last year, but less than 1% of offenders faced prosecution. Our consumer editor Chris Choi has the latest in our series on Grotspot Britain.
Caught on a dashboard camera, fly tippers in action.
Just came round the corner to be confronted by a Ford Transit tipper tipping the rubbish into the middle of the road, accompanied by a passenger who quickly got back in the van and drove off with rubbish still spewing out the back as they drove off. You feel quite outraged that these people just come along and feel like they can tip their rubbish wherever they like.
And this shameless fly tipping in broad daylight was caught on camera by a London business. Council enforcers are still searching for the culprits who left behind this mess. Around the country, victims are demanding stiffer penalties.
I think they need to be properly punished, and they should know that this is not the way to earn the money. There are so many better ways of doing the hard work and earning the money. These people really need to be brought to task, because this is unacceptable, in all shape and forms.
Our research identifies grot spots like this all around the country, but in different places, it's leading to the same questions. Is enough being done to find and to punish the culprits? To find answers, we used Freedom of Information requests, and 313 councils told us of prosecution levels. In total, there were 2,226, alongside well over 700,000 incident reports, indicating as little as under 1% could end up in court. Local authorities which had the most prosecutions were all in the north of England: Pendle in Lancashire, Newcastle and Manchester. These are Birmingham volunteers, so determined to catch fly tippers, they gather evidence from angry residents.
It's really disgusting, isn't it? You get rats, and it's just not nice to look at it, is it?
Here, Birmingham Council got 2 fly tippers jailed last year, but we found that's rare. Nationally, there were only 21 prison sentences. Tonight, there are new demands for tougher penalties against those who make their mess our problem.
So few are actually prosecuted, but even if they were, are the penalties tough enough?
Well, it is a criminal offence, fines up to £50,000, possibly a year in jail, as we've shown there. That's very unusual. There are on-the-spot penalties up to £400. But today, the councils had a swipe at what they see as low penalties from some courts. Here's their spokesperson.
Some courts give really tiny penalties. What we'd like to see is really tough deterrent penalties. That means that when people get caught, they think twice about doing it again.
And just look at this, Mary. Day after day, we're getting images like this. This is the situation now in a road at Upminster. Tons and tons of illegally dumped waste. You can see soggy old carpets, debris. And once a road is blocked like this, it can be there for a long time. Just have a look at this. They have to put the signs, the road closure signs up. They can be there for days and days because that's a crime scene, and nobody at this stage knows exactly what's underneath that. They could be asbestos, toxins, all manner of stuff. So as well as leaving the rubbish like that, they're also leaving a very high bill for us to pick up. It's about £150 a tonne to remove fly tipping, and there are several tonnes there. Amazing stuff. Chris, thank you very much. And to share more of your examples of Grotspot Britain, then do go to our website. That's itv.com/news. Well, moving on now, and a woman has been arrested in Malaysia over the mysterious death of the half-brother of North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un. North Korean officials have demanded the return of the body, but that has been refused. Martha Fairley has the latest.
She may be one of the women suspected of assassinating the half-brother of North Korea's leader, but the details, like the CCTV footage, are hazy. Pictures from security cameras at Kuala Lumpur airport emerged as Malaysian police said they'd arrested a 28-year-old woman who was carrying a Vietnamese travel document. She was detained following the death there yesterday of a North Korean thought to be Kim Jong-nam, the exiled half-brother of Kim Jong-un. He'd been about to board a flight home to Macau when he was attacked with a chemical spray and died on the way to hospital. The North Korean ambassador spent 8 hours at the hospital mortuary, his requests for the body to be released immediately without a post-mortem examination rejected by Malaysian officials. Despite that, there has been no comment from North Korea. Kim Jong-un was seen at a mass rally to honour his late father. In South Korea, members of the National Intelligence Committee told journalists the assassination, carried out by 2 women, was a long-standing order from Pyongyang. And motivated more by Kim Jong-un's paranoia, rather than a calculated move to eliminate him as an obstacle to his rule. While Malaysian authorities search for several other suspects, post-mortem results may reveal if Kim Jong-nam was poisoned in an audacious assassination by the North Korean regime. Martha Fairley, ITV News.
Now, it is rare for prime ministers to campaign in by-elections, but today Theresa May did exactly that. She visited a primary school in Bootle in Cumbria ahead of next week's Copeland by-election. The Conservatives are hoping to overturn a Labour majority and take the seat for the first time since the 1930s. Labour are defending a majority of just over 2,500. There are 7 candidates in all. The Church of England is about to vote on whether or not to change its position on same-sex marriage. But a report for today's General Synod says marriage in church should only be between a man and a woman. As Paul Davis reports, that's provoked passionate voices both inside and outside today's debate.
By the rivers of Babylon.
Strong feelings voiced politely. That's the way the Anglican Church does its business, even on a subject that creates such deep divisions, with those who've campaigned for equal treatment of gay couples in the church accusing the bishops of not listening.
The report goes on and on about wanting to change the tone, and it just doesn't change the tone. The report talks a huge amount about how agonising a decision it's been. It doesn't actually address at all the fact that it's been a painful situation for LGBT people.
The Anglican Church has had a 3-year conversation about its response to gay marriage, with the bishops concluding that marriage remains the lifelong union of a man and a woman. The prospect of gay marriage in church, even a church blessing, received little encouragement.
I don't think that the church is ready to take that step yet. That is a matter of great disappointment to many of us who see it as an issue that divides the church from the nation.
Today, the clergy gathered in their synod to hear the bishops acknowledge the pain this debate was causing.
There is no simple and easy answer to this issue, beyond committing ourselves to engagement with each other when the views on what we should do are profoundly contested.
There were many calls to vote the bishops down.
Synod, I want to ask you not to do this. Please do not vote for this measure. We deserve better. Your LGBTI sisters and brothers deserve better, both here in the church and in the country.
A vote is expected within the next few minutes. Paul Davis, ITV News.
Still to come on the ITV Evening News, the truth about Tara's death. Her sister speaks out. And the former footballer's family who believe there is a link between heading the ball and dementia. Those stories and more after the break. Join me then. Hello and welcome back. The family of the socialite and TV star Tara Palmer-Tomkinson say she died peacefully in her sleep due to a perforated ulcer. They also denied reports that Tara had a brain tumour or that she'd been retreating into a dark place before her death. Garen Vincent has the details.
A woman who lived so much of her life in the public eye. Today, the people closest to Tara Palmer-Tomkinson gave an account of a very private time, the weeks before her death. Her sister Santa used social media to say that a coroner's report had found that Tara had died of natural causes from a perforated ulcer. She added that she did not have a brain tumour.
I had overdosed and I did need serious, to get me back.
The socialite spoke openly about her problems with addiction, but a statement from her family expressed disappointment with suggestions that she had retreated into a dark place. In her last weeks, they say she was happy, positive, and making plans for when she recovered her health. At the end, they say she passed away peacefully in her sleep.
I think the lifestyle of drugs and alcohol may have contributed, not the drugs per se, but the drinking that goes with the drugs and even smoking, because smoking and drinking can also lead to stomach ulcers and duodenal ulcers.
Tara Palmer Tompkinson's loved ones say they will never forget the joy, love and humour she brought them. Her funeral at the end of the month will be a private event. Geraint Vincent, ITV News.
Rolf Harris is to face a retrial over 3 alleged sex offences and 1 new charge of indecent assault. Last week, a jury cleared the 86-year-old of 3 charges but failed to reach a verdict on 4 other counts. The UK has been given a final warning by the European Commission for repeated breaches of air pollution limits. If the government doesn't take action within 2 months, it could be taken to the European Court of Justice. And after the release of the plastic £5 note, the Bank of England says a plastic £10 note will be issued in September. They also contain traces of animal fat, despite threats from activists to take them to court over the issue. A new study claims to have found a link between football and dementia. The issue has been highlighted by the case of the former England striker Jeff Astle. His family believes his dementia was caused by repeatedly heading footballs throughout his long career. Cedric Caria has the details.
Jeff Astle, ex-England and West Brom striker, a celebrated footballer, a legend to many, who died not even knowing he'd played the game. He'd been living with dementia, and his family believe it was caused by brain damage from repeatedly heading footballs.
Dad's job had killed him, and when he died, he was lay, surrounded by his England caps, his FA Cup winners' medal, his League Cup winners' medal, everything that he won in football took away.
While they welcome today's small-scale study that reveals a possible link between football and dementia, his family want the FA to fulfil its promise to carry out more detailed research, one it began but never completed.
When we've been accused of scaremongering, compensation, chasing, wanting headers, heading the ball banned in football, we've never once asked for any of that. And the families that have been in touch with us, they want answers.
Today's research shows tentative evidence of a link. The very small study examined the brains of 6 footballers who played for an average of 26 years. Post-mortems found all 6 had signs of Alzheimer's disease, while 4 also showed evidence of a degenerative disease linked to repeated blows to the head.
Throughout their 20 years or so career, they would have headed the ball thousands of times. But other than that, footballers are also exposed to other head impacts as well.
The FA has promised to support a more detailed study. Research the Astle family say that'll help footballers make informed choices. Sejal Karia, ITV News.
And finally, England's new cricket captain says he had his hands full when the call came to offer him the job. Joe Root revealed he was changing his baby's nappy at the time, and he's been speaking to our sports editor, Steve Scott.
If he didn't know it already, he will do now. From today, England's best cricketer will live life at the end of a lens. But Joe Root is adamant the new responsibility won't change his relaxed approach.
No, I want the guys to go and enjoy the cricket, and I want people to enjoy watching us play the cricket. So with the pressures of international sport, you do have a few days where it's not very enjoyable. So when you get the chance to have a bit of fun and enjoy the sport, you should definitely take that.
It's been quite a start to the year for Root. He became a dad for the first time 5 weeks ago, and just like captaincy, he's been learning on the job.
You become a father. Has that affected you? Has that changed you?
It's been really special being at home and getting to getting to know Alfie and doing the nappies and all the dirty work as well. So it was really special actually that when I got the call I was actually changing Alfie. So I really did have my hands full by the end of that conversation. Yes.
And if history is anything to go by, it won't be long before little Alfie has a bat in his hands, just like his dad before him.
I think from when you're a small kid, you want to get to the pinnacle of the sport, and there's no greater honour than becoming captain of your country. So from being a small boy, yes, that was always a dream of mine.
He'll have to wait a while to lead the team out. His first Test match in charge is in July, but South Africa at Lord's is almost certainly worth waiting for. Steve Scott, ITV News, Leeds.
And that is it. Tom's here at 10, but from me and all the team, have a good evening. Bye-bye.